Now, further amendments? Yes, Mr. Inslee.
Amendment at the desk, Mr. Chair.
Amendment to the committee print offered by Mr. Inslee of Washington. In section 6001A, add at the end the following new paragraph. 3, the state will, to the extent practicable, prioritize the grants toward funding
Without
energy
objection, the
efficiency
amendment will be
and
considered as read, and gentleman from Washington State recognized.
Thank you. Mr. Welch and I have, I think, a relatively benign amendment which simply tries to give priority to the state energy office's provisions in this bill to give prioritization to existing programs. The desire here is to pump this money out as fast as possible and have it in application as fast as possible. We simply are trying to do our part to fit within that goal of moving quickly. So we are simply adding a prioritization for existing programs. Our amendment does not change prioritization between renewable energy or energy efficiency, or does not change existing law in this program between renewables or any other form of energy. It simply gives priority to existing programs. I don't think we need to engage in any debate about the merits of nuclear power or biofuels or any other issue, because we simply are giving a priority in this program to existing programs. So it's a small but I think helpful effort to try to prime the pump as quickly as possible. And with that, I yield to Mr. Welch if he has comments.
I want to thank the gentleman from Washington, and you stated it very quickly. I'll just add, there's two issues here. One is, in the stimulus, we want to get money out into work as quickly as possible. Obviously, using existing programs where the infrastructure for delivery is pre-existing is going to work best. Secondly, I think many of us on this committee want to take advantage of this hearing and the stimulus to make it clear that this is the beginning of trying to have an energy policy that's going to help create jobs long term. And Mr. Chairman, you're insisting on jurisdictional review by this committee is very helpful in that respect. But this amendment works off of what we have. It takes advantage of the local efforts by states. It states a indication that it would be helpful to have this money go to existing state programs that work with public utilities and in some cases the private sector to intensify the benefits of what already is in place. So I think it is a helpful amendment and hope that we'll find support on the committee for its passage. I yield back.
Mr. Inslee, do you yield back the balance of your time?
I yield, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Any further discussion of the amendment?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Barton, you seek recognition on this amendment?
Briefly.
Mr. Barton.
Mr. Chairman, we think this amendment somewhat micromanages the state regulatory authorities in this area, but it is not a nefarious amendment, so we don't have a major objection to it.
Thank you. Mr. Green.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just ask the authors of the amendment, since the state, both the ranking member and I are from, are a deregulated market, we understand that our Public Utility Commission really doesn't have the authority. Jay, were y'all looking at the deregulated market states that and how they would give the state the authority to, or at least in your language, since practicable, to prioritize the grants?
Well, the design, the intent of the amendment is not to change the underlying program. And the underlying program, as my understanding, is available to 50 states for the state energy offices, which are under the governors of the 50 states. So we don't intend to distinguish between types of regulatory structure of the states. However, the states' energy offices are currently composed. We intend to give them equal and adequate access to this program. So I don't think it will advantage or disadvantage any state, whether they're regulated or under-regulated. Simply pertains to however they handle their state energy offices. I just may add, too, that, you know, these things have been chronically operating on little crumbs. And you look at the potential in efficiency once you, for instance, help businesses really realize the efficiency potential. We have Nucor Steel, for instance, in Seattle, which has saved, it's one of the most energy intensive or energy efficient steel mills in the world, and they have simply used some fairly common sense things to make investments, and state energy offices that help their industries find these efficiencies, I think, can just really find some gold in the hills of efficiency. And so I think they're great programs. They've been operating on starvation diets, so we hope Texas can participate in that too.
I'm familiar, but I don't know what Nucor does in Washington, but I know what they do in Arkansas and other states on efficiency, and that's good. I'm just wondering if there was any intent on if there was any exceptions for, depending on how the state deals with their utilities, whether it's a regulated or unregulated market.
No, we would intend all states to participate. They're all great states.
Thank you.
Including Texas, especially Texas.
We'll have no pandering here. Any further discussion of this amendment? All those in favor of the Inslee Amendment will say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the amendment's agreed to.